Okay. Okay. It's wake up time, baby. We're talking about coffee. We're talking about caffeine. Woo! Oh yeah! Misinformation. Hey y'all, welcome to Misinformation, the show that's about to have a super rush, super caffeinated episode. Whoop whoop woodly zoop.
Hey friends, lovers, mothers, and other strangers, you're never gonna believe what happened to me. Oh my god, did you see that? I almost did a half Nelson. I almost bruised my delicates, my doma oregatos, Mr. Tomatoes.
Caffeine, baby, it's in coffee, it's in tea, it's in soda, yippity-dee. Okay. Let's go, wakey time.
You embarrass me.
Some of us are morning coffee drinkers, some of us are tea troopers, and some of us are soppy soda slops. All of these drinks contain caffeine in some form or iteration. It's the 21st century, so I think it's fair to assume that almost everyone watching this video is aware that caffeine exists. And even if you didn't know that caffeine existed, it's likely that you would have consumed it at some point in your life, even if you lived under a rock. But if you have miraculously made it to the internet before discovering the bittersweet elixir that is coffee, then I suggest you hit the pause button for the next 3 months. Sit in a stoic silence and wait for quarantine to end.
You want a cigarette?
Oh, no, thank you.
I'm trying to cut down myself.
And then visit a coffee shop to test out this new fancy fandangled coffee concoction you've now heard about.
What's that haunting aroma?
I don't know.
But for all the caffeine you or people you know consume, do you actually know what it is? Seriously, what is caffeine? How does it work? What is it doing inside that sweet, sweet bod of yours? Well, let's tackle the first question first. What is caffeine? The scientific answer is that caffeine is a drug. In fact, caffeine is a psychoactive drug, and it is one of the most commonly used drugs on the planet. Now, the word psychoactive sounds scary, but it really just means that the drug has some sort of effect on your brain.
I don't know what to believe right now.
So a psychoactive drug is just one that changes something in your brain to alter how you feel or perceive stuff. There are many psychoactive drugs, some of which are illicit, but most of which are prescription drugs. So it sounds freaky, but it's not as sci-fi or horror movie-esque as you might initially imagine. Nowadays, almost everyone is taking some sort of commonly used psychoactive drug on a near daily basis. And as I already said, the most common one of all is caffeine. Okay, that's great and all. Caffeine is a drug, but that doesn't really help much. Mario is a plumber, but knowing that fact doesn't help me to understand how to actually be a plumber. So what does caffeine actually do to us? How does it work? Like in your bod. Well, let's start with the fancy science answer, and then we'll break it down from there. According to my dear friend, Miss Wikipedia, caffeine blocks your brain's adenosine receptors, which consequently prevents the onset drowsiness induced by adenosine. Caffeine also stimulates certain parts of the autonomic nervous system, and I'm not really sure what that is. The autonomic nervous system is the part of your brain that controls all of your body's functions that you don't think about, like pumping blood and breathing.
Just breathe normal, fellas.
But let's get back to adenosine. Adenosine is a chemical created in your brain to fit into your brain's aptly named adenosine receptors. The purpose of adenosine is to make you sleepy by slowing down your brain activity. So when you get drowsy in the afternoon, this is your brain's adenosine at work. But you can prevent this drowsiness if you just add your dear old friend caffeine.
Drink some green tea. Have a cup of coffee.
Caffeine, on a molecular level, is the perfect size and shape to fit into your adenosine receptors. Basically, caffeine is like an adenosine forgery that your brain thinks is real and then takes it and puts it right on its adenosine receptors. This is how many psychoactive drugs work, by blocking your brain's receptors for other chemicals. Basically tricking your mind to do or feel things that it wouldn't normally do or feel. In this case, caffeine fills all your adenosine receptors so your brain won't get the message to become sleepy. Additionally, caffeine constricts your blood vessels, which is why it's often a part of many headache medications, because it can help reduce swelling.
Wow, I just got a big headache.
So as you might guess, and probably know from experience, when you drink a caffeinated tea or soda, you're preventing your brain from getting sleepy. And you're reducing oxygen flow because of the constricting blood vessels. Your pituitary gland senses caffeine's effect and assumes an emergency is occurring right now. So it releases hormones to direct your bod to make adrenaline. This means that your heart rate increases, your airways open, and you become more awake and alert. This is the short answer though, because in addition to making you feel alert, caffeine is also addictive. Besides filling your adenosine receptors, caffeine also increases your dopamine levels. Dopamine is a chemical in your brain that activates certain pleasure centers, and it is very common for addictive drugs to activate these dopamine levels. And this makes sense. Of course your brain will want more of something that makes you happier. It doesn't help that caffeine also has a 6-hour half-life, which is the perfect amount of time to want to use it every day. Without getting too into it, a half-life of 6 hours means that the substance has basically deteriorated and disappeared after 6 hours have passed, meaning that it is out of your system completely after about 12 hours. You might recognize 12 hours as being most of your waking hours. Within about 12 to 24 hours of your last caffeinated beverage, your body will begin to go into caffeine withdrawal. You'll feel a little sad, maybe a little agitated, and you will get that famous caffeine headache.
Large black coffee.
Do you mean a venti?
No, I mean a large.
He means a venti. Yeah, the biggest one you got.
Venti is large.
No, venti is 20.
Danny.
Yeah. Large is large. In fact, tall is large, and grande is Spanish for large. Venti's the only one that doesn't mean large. It's also the only one that's Italian. Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages.
So craving that morning cup of coffee is actually the beginning response of your body going through withdrawal, since it hasn't had caffeine since yesterday. So what do? Well, we drink a cup of coffee and we start the process all over again. Is this a bad thing? Not really. Caffeine is a drug, yes. Caffeine also affects your sleep patterns, which I am not going to get into in this video. But it all really comes down to your ability to function. At the end of the day, a problem is how we define it. Caffeine is not exactly healthy, but no one's ever lost a job from being a caffeine addict. In terms of ability to live your life, you can be very successful and live a long time, even if you start every day with a cup of coffee. But in terms of maximum health, caffeine is certainly not ideal for your brain. And that's the info about that. And for me personally, I'm a coffee addict now, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon.